July is officially over, so let's see how I actually did. I'm budgeting Paycheck 3, closing out the entire month, checking the damage on our credit card float, and looking ahead at what August is about to throw at us. Hi, I'm Julie from the Bradley Edit. Here I share our real family budget, meal planning, and journey to building a simpler financial life, all while documenting the ups and downs along the way. Let's get into the July Paycheck 3 budget recap and see where money actually went. We'll start with the income. So for this one, it was right on target at $24.03. This one was a little bit extra, so our income was a tiny bit higher than expected. Fixed expenses, there were no surprises, which is kind of the idea of fixed expenses, is they're fixed. So everything came out as expected, right on target. Next up, we'll go over the variable expenses, because this is definitely the place that varies the most. So first, I gave a $10 donation. We're collecting money for a cancer walk in September. So we're doing some fundraising this summer. We gassed up our car on the 31st for $75. I did a grocery run on the 31st for $105. My husband and I went on a little coffee date. We had a McDonald's rewards point, so we were able to get one free coffee. So we purchased one coffee on this day. I have an Etsy shop, and I currently don't have the fees separated from mine. I'm treating it kind of like a hobby right now because it is not bringing any income in. So I had a $2 fee for a couple of my listings. We went to my husband's grandfather's 96th birthday party, and we wanted to take him some photos of the kids, so we had some photos printed to take to him. I bought groceries on the 2nd for $275. Then, when we went to go visit my husband's grandfather, we ended up going out to dinner with my in-laws and my husband's uncle that was home visiting, and my husband treated everyone to dinner. So dinner out ended up being $238. I had a physio appointment for my shoulder on the 5th for $17. Gassed up again for $96. Groceries on the 7th, $128. My daughter is growing at a very fast rate lately, outgrowing all of her clothes. So I did a big clothing shop for her on the 7th, including a pair of shoes. So $43 was my husband and I. The rest was kids stuff, some back to school clothes. I bought my son new jammies and back to school pants and a sweater. My mom was hosting a family gathering, and I bought some stuff to take out. So I contributed some party supplies to it. I had to buy one of my cats some medication on the 7th, so $23. Then we needed to replace one of our toilet seats, and my husband is priming his garage, so we bought a gallon of primer and a toilet seat for $113 on the 10th. My daughter convinced my husband to do a McDonald's run on the 10th, and then my husband stopped to pick up a couple things at the grocery store, and that was $22. So if we look at total what we spent, so this is the what's budgeted for each of these categories. So for gas, it was under, so we spent $171. So this is for 2 weeks of spending. Groceries, we were at $530, so $20 under. Household, $544, and entertainment, $343. So these two categories are definitely way over, and this is really highlighting to me the need for my sinking funds, that once I get my credit cards cleaned up, we're going to be getting back into contributing to the sinking funds, and this is exactly why life is lifing and we have expenses, and I'll show you what expenses we have coming up for August paycheck. So total we spent $1,588, so we were over by $518. So let's take a look at our investments next. This paycheck, we didn't contribute. I've paused that TFSA, and the RRSP and RESP both come out on the 20th. And since this paycheck was July 30th to August 12th, that didn't include that. But I went through and updated our balances. So I was super excited that my RRSP, so my husband and I each have one, finally went over the $10,000 mark. So that's kind of an exciting milestone. And the kids' RESP is at $15,500. And then my TFSA is really teeny at $346. And I'm hoping once these credit cards get cleaned up to get back to contributing to my TFSA, which is coming right up. Nothing happened with the sinking funds, nothing in, nothing out. So HELOC, I made that an interest only payment. So that's the minimum payment, $162. Balance remains the same. The MasterCard, I had expected to pay $431. I was only able to pay $1,200, and our remaining balance is $45.40. Visa 1, nothing. I'd paid that off last pay, and it's still at $0. Visa 2, I had expected $13.05. My statement came in. I think we had a return, and now that Visa is at $0. So total owing on credit cards, $45.40. So when we look at the breakdown, we have the income. So that was our income plus what the balance forward and the little bit of cash I had. Then we have fixed expenses. We're right on target. Variable was definitely over the projected 1070. Sinking funds, $0. Savings, $0. Debt payments, I paid $26.59. So when you add all of this up, it is negative $1,403. And this is exactly what credit card float is. So this gets charged onto the credit card, and it's this perpetual cycle of constantly stealing money from your future self. And I'm just so done with it. I'm going to be going into August with a plan to clean this up. So one thing I like to do, because this is the last pay of the month, I want to really take a look at what we spent in each category, because yes, we were over on our budget here, but overall over the last 6 weeks, what does everything average out to? So I'm going to add a page below this goals, and we're going to summarize everything up here, but I just want a blank page to work with. So let's go up to paycheck 1, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bottom section So I'll do that for the other 2 paychecks. Okay, so all I'm going to do is average out what we actually spent over these last 3 pays, like per 2-week period. So let's start with the gas. So 189 plus 154 plus 171. Then I'm going to divide that by 3. So we spent an average of 171 on gas. Groceries, 330 plus 658 plus 530 divided by 3. We spent an average of 506. Household, we spent an average of 367. And entertainment, we spent an average of 304. So on average, we spent around $278 more than the $1,070 in our budget. This is showing me that, again, those sinking funds are missing. So that's where I want my focus to be. One other thing I really like to look at is how our credit cards were doing. So let's go I'm going to grab credit cards and investments at the same time. If we look at the total of our investments, so we were at 54, it dropped a bit down on Paycheck 3, and now we're at 55,634. So performing well, contributions looking great. If we look at the total, so as I stated before, I don't include the HELOC amount because we're not aggressively paying that down. I'm really focused on these credit cards. So Paycheck 1, we were owing $53.95 at the end. Paycheck 2, we were owing $53.67. But Paycheck 3, we're sitting here and what we owe on credit cards is $45.40. So we've managed to pay off $855. Okay, progress. I'd really like to get this completely down to 0. So I want to talk about my goals going into August. So I've already written out some of my August goals that I want to go over for our August paychecks. Is to stop that credit card afloat. What are my action plans for that? So number 1, so Paycheck 1 in August, to try to stay under my variable spending. So we'll see how that goes. And then Paycheck 2, I will be getting a retro paycheck, and I'm hoping to utilize that to really boost us out of this credit card float. Goal number 2 is to restart my TFSA $50 per pay investment. So set auto invest. I invest into this ETF on Wealthsimple, and I actually just yesterday went in and set that up to start again. So that'll start on my very next pay. Goal number 3 is to restart those sinking funds. So for my action plan is to stop the credit card float, which that's goal number 1. So as soon as that's done, I can restart these sinking funds. And I'm hoping that the retro pay I get is enough to clean up my credit card float and to really help us jumpstart these sinking funds. I kind of looked ahead at some of the larger expenses we have coming up in August because we're coming up on back to school. So I wanted to see what those were. So because school's coming back in, instead of school supplies, our school does a school fee. So I have 2 kids in school. So that'll be a total of $130 that we owe. My kids are both in gymnastics, and I will be registering them this coming Friday. And for the 2 of them, their registration is $674. Back to school shopping. So I've already done some of the clothes for both of my kids. I bought my son his indoor shoes. My daughter is in desperate need of a backpack. My son's backpack is fine from last year, and they'll both use their same lunch bags from last year. My daughter does need a new pair of indoor shoes, and I also have to check her shoes at daycare and see if she's outgrown those. And then one thing I want to watch for is the lunch containers I use for my kids' lunch. They've had them for quite a few years, and they're starting to get cracked, the inside part a bit. I'll watch for a good sale on some new lunch containers. So heading into Paycheck 1 in August. Let's bring up August calendar. So we get paid on the 13th. So this first paycheck is going to be the 13th to the 26th. And what my balance forward is $225. That's what's sitting in my checking account. So I'm excited to see what August brings for finances, and I'm super hopeful to finally get off this credit card float.
Thanks so much for following along with me as I recapped everything we spent in July. I'm really looking forward to getting our sinking funds back on track and seeing how August goes. And if you're interested in checking out any of my planners, you can find the link to my Etsy shop in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the next video.